I came across this list in Rolling Stone magazine called Banned in the USA 20 Wildest Censored Album Covers. I thought it would be fun to go through this list and react to the albums. Some of these I was aware of, others I had no idea about, and they really surprised me. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Today's video is brought to you by Discogs, the ultimate destination for music discovery and record collecting. More on what that is all about coming up in 2 minutes. Stick around for that, seriously. Okay, Banned in the USA. Let's see what's on this list. First up, the Mamas and the Papas, If You Can Believe Your Eyes, 1966. I had heard about this one. It says the original cover for the Mamas and Papas debut album. All 4 members crammed into a bathtub, but because it was taken in an actual bathroom, the photo also included a toilet, which was taboo. The toilet was first obscured with a text box and later cropped out entirely. I guess kind of like on this one, it's obscured. I had no idea that a toilet was in any way controversial as recently as the 1960s. That's pretty wild and something I can't imagine taking any offense to, because all of our homes have a toilet, don't they? Next up, yeah, okay, of course, I was familiar with this one. The Beatles, Yesterday and Today, the Butcher cover, 1966. It says, times have changed. This image of the Beatles in white smocks posing with slabs of meat and decapitated baby dolls now seems like the mildest form of provocation. Yeah, definitely true. It says, the backlash against the cover was so strong, Capitol had to recall 750,000 copies and replace the image with a photo of the band around a steamer trunk. Obviously, we've seen way more controversial covers than this one, as the article notes. I just think it's funny that the Beatles were posing with pictures of butchered babies. I know there's Beatles experts out there who know exactly what the history behind this cover is, but this is something I would expect to see like on an Alice Cooper cover from the 1970s, that kind of thing, but not necessarily on a Beatles album cover.
Channel 33, RPM.
All right, 33ers, I often get asked for advice on how to catalog a record collection. I'm honest, you've heard my response. I tell people I've been manually inputting my records in a spreadsheet for years. But if I could start all over again, I would use Discogs. Keeping a spreadsheet is a hassle, and Discogs is way easier. You open the app, scan the barcode on your record, and the album is instantly added to your collection. You can manage your collection and buy new records anywhere. Plus, Discogs provides the approximate value of your music. It's interesting to see how much your records are worth and helpful for things like insurance. You can also share your collection and connect with the world of record collectors who share your passion for vinyl. 33ers, my New Year's resolution is to finally move my collection over to Discogs, one record at a time. It's going to take a while, so why not join me? Head over to Discogs.com or grab the app and get to it. Start cataloging your collection today and discover a whole new way to connect with your records. Now back to the show. Next up, Rolling Stone's Beggar's Banquet, again from the 60s. This one is from 68, and again there was a toilet on here. It says toilets were still taboo in 1968, enough so that the Stones record company rejected the cover photo of a bathroom wall full of graffiti. The album was delayed for months as a result, and the original artwork didn't surface until the 1980s. Again, I don't understand the controversy that a toilet would cause. If anything, maybe some of the graffiti on there was controversial. I have no idea, but maybe you had to be there to get it, but I don't get this one at all, man. Next up, Blind Faith. From 1969, I'm going to obscure this one for obvious reasons. We've talked about this before. Blind Faith was a supergroup with Eric Clapton and Steve Winwood. The article says here they did not have a name until they saw this artwork, and the photographer called this album cover or this artwork Blind Faith. It was an image of an 11-year-old girl, her innocence in counterpoint to the technological toy in her hands. I believe that's actually a hood ornament, but I could be wrong. And I'd file this one under what the hell were they thinking, man? Alice Cooper, Love It to Death. Another one I was quite familiar with, being a huge Alice Cooper fan. Let's see what the article says, though. It says Alice Cooper, the band and the singer, broke through with their third album featuring Omp 18, but they got flack for juvenile stunt on the album cover photo. Cooper wrapped his cape around him and poked his right thumb out, making it look to the casual viewer like his was hanging out. For his trouble, he has entire right arm airbrushed out. Yeah, I mean, if you look closely, I'll zoom in. What you see there is Alice Cooper's thumb protruding, but people, the powers that be, thought it was something else. I always thought this one was kind of funny. David Bowie, Diamond Dogs from 74. Again, one I never really understood. It says on the front cover, Bowie just looked freaky. It turned out to be half of a gatefold image, and the back cover revealed that Bowie had the body of a dog, complete with a prominent dog piece. Those hindquarters were they quickly got rid of the hindquarters with some airbrushing rendering Bowie's canine groin smooth and blank. Again, man, go to any city park, any dog park, any walk around the block any day of the week, and you're going to see dogs with their dog parts out. Animals don't wear any clothes. So again, I did not understand the controversy behind this one. Leonard Skinner's Street Survivors from 77. I actually just picked up this past summer a copy of this original album with the original cover finally. It says Leonard Skinner's fifth studio album was released October 17th, 1977. 3 days later, the band's airplane crashed in Mississippi, killing 3 band members. That made the cover photo of the band standing in front of a backdrop of flames seem in exceptionally poor taste. The band didn't change the Street Survivors title, but they did substitute a different photo of the band with a plain background. I get that one. I mean, does this really belong on a list of band album covers? It wasn't really banned. The band just realized that this was a bit distasteful, or the record company realized that. Someone realized that this was distasteful given the terrible incident that occurred, so they swapped out the album cover. So yeah, I think that's something I agree with. It was to keep the album in good taste. Next up, Funkadelic, the Electric Spanking of War Babies. I love that name. It's a great name for an album. 1981. It says Warner Brothers didn't want to release this Funkadelic record as a double album, so George Clinton whittled it down to a single disc. It also wouldn't approve the Pedro Bell cover of a naked woman inside a phallic spaceship. Bell covered most of it up with a big splash of green and the message, "Oh look, the cover they were too scared to print." It takes a lot to offend me, so I took no offense to the original album cover, but I suppose if you wanted to sell this album in mainstream stores, I guess I could see why some people may want it covered up. Either way, I think it's a pretty cool album cover. Next up, Spinal Tap, Smell the Glove from 1982. This is a great movie, man. I think anyone who's seen this movie can agree with that. It says fictional but classic in the movie. This is Spinal Tap, one of England's loudest bands, has its album cover rejected by the record company and replaced with a plain black cover. Yeah, I completely in bad taste, but in the context of this movie, which was purposely ridiculous, it completely works. I mean, if I don't know what else to say. It's fictional and it was all meant in fun. But yeah, of course, this one's in bad taste. Roger Waters, Pros and Cons of Hitchhiking from 84. And we've talked about this one on the channel before. It says old school censorship for the first solo album by the former Pink Floydster. The issue with this one is that you see the unclothed backside of a woman hitchhiking. So later covers had a plain black box covering that up. But I don't know, overall this one seems to me to be pretty harmless. What do you think? Next up, Guns N' Roses, Appetite for Destruction from 87. This is the original album cover, the original vision for the album, and it was censored. It was replaced in most markets. I actually prefer that second cover to this original, but at the time as a new band, Guns N' Roses would have been out to offend, to get their names in the media, right? There's nothing that attracts a crowd like controversy, so I can see why they did it, but I do prefer the second version that they came up with. Poison, Open Up and Say Ah from 1988. For the life of me, man, I will never understand the controversy with this album cover. Never. I don't get it. It says the original cover to Poison's second album, a red-skinned female demon with big hair and an even bigger tongue. It was more odd than sexual or satanic, I agree. But it says, under pressure, the band changed it, covering up most of the image so you couldn't see much more than the eyes. Tell me, 33ers, what is the problem with this album cover? Because I don't get it. I mean, it's cheesy. It's not the best album cover of all time, but I personally don't see anything offensive about it at all. Maybe retailers thought it would be too scary if kids were walking through the record section and saw this ghoulish image. I don't know. Jane's Addiction, Ritual de lo Habitual from 1990. Again, another album cover we've talked about on the channel before. It says the iconic Ritual cover is a photograph of a diorama made by lead singer Perry Farrell depicting him in a three-way affair. Yeah, okay, if you take a look at this, I gotta blur this out. People say, Frank, why do you blur this out? You're giving in to the censors. I'm not giving in to the censors. The way it works on YouTube is if YouTube deems your video unfit for advertisers, it doesn't recommend it, it doesn't promote it, and no one sees the video. And if no one sees my video, it's been a waste of my time putting it all together, right? So that's why I blur it. But yeah, I mean, again, I don't find it offensive, but given the context of record stores or I don't know. Tad, 8-Way Santa from 1991. Man, this album cover is hilarious. One of my favorite album covers of all time just because this couple is so ridiculous. And there's a whole big story behind this one. Again, I got to blur it out a bit here. Look up the original image if you want to see it. Rolling Stone said the amazing cover for 8-Way Santa was found art. A photograph from a thrift store of a beaming couple where this shirtless dude is copying the breast of his partner. Unfortunately, the couple wasn't amused by the unauthorized use of their picture on the album. One had become a born-again Christian. They sued, and Sub Pop replaced the cover with a mundane picture of the band standing in front of cows. I would definitely do a double take as well if I found that image in a thrift store. I probably wouldn't want an image of myself like that showing up in a thrift store, but a hilarious album cover. I thought it was great, but yeah, okay. The couple should have been more careful in the first place, letting that image go. But imagine having that picture taken and forgetting about it, picking up or going through a store and seeing your image on the cover of an album, man. That's too funny. Next up, Nirvana, In Utero from 93. We actually talked about this one in a video just a few weeks ago. And says here, the song Rape Me was too provocative for Walmart and Kmart, which wouldn't stock In Utero because of it. Hold on a second here. This article's called the 20 Wildest Censored Album Covers. But this seems to be a mistake, because if you go down here, this is talking about that song. It wasn't necessarily the artwork on the front they had an issue with. It was a song. Okay, what else does it say? Or more precisely, the title of the song Rape Me was too provocative when the band changed it on the back cover to Wave Me without changing the music. The album was approved for the store's racks. Again, I mean, including this on a list of band album covers is kind of a stretch. Walmart had an issue with one song and its inclusion on the back cover. So, I don't know, Rolling Stone. Pantera, Far Beyond Driven from 1994. Man, this cover is not something I ever need to see. It says, what image did Pantera select for the cover of their 7th studio album to show their view of the modern world? Well, a drill penetrating an anus, of course. Oh, too funny. It was quickly replaced with a drill boring into a person's forehead. Savory only in comparison. I don't know. This original cover, I don't dig. I mean, I'm not in favor of censorship. I wouldn't censor it, but it's just bad taste. I mean, not something I don't need to see. I prefer the second cover, man. It was pretty heavy. It was pretty good. Van Halen Balance from 95. Again, this is one, for the life of me, I don't understand what the problem with this one is. Well, I'll get back to it. It says, this cover art, Photoshop-assisted conjoined twins on a teeter-totter, was just plain disturbing. I don't know. Which is presumably what the band was aiming for, but enough people were weirded out that some territories offered a version with one twin airbrushed out. Again, this doesn't make sense to me on this list, because this list is banned in the USA, and as far as I know, this wasn't banned in the USA. I think some Asian countries, Japan and maybe Korea, had a problem with this album cover or something. It was cultural, as a cultural thing. So I don't think this was banned in the USA or in North America, but if I'm wrong, let me know in the comments. Master P Ghetto D from 97. It says the original title was Ghetto Dope, and the original cover featured a man smoking a crack pipe. To secure wider distribution, Master P trunciated the title and concocted a new cover that was an ugly digital collage heavily on the flames. Yeah, I could see the issue with this one. Again, you know, if you want to get your album out there and sold, I guess you got to play by certain rules. But this alternative cover, to me, is just plain ugly. Kanye West, My Beautiful, Dark, Twisted Fantasy. I mean, no, Kanye's had a whole bunch of controversies that have happened since 2010, but there you go. It says West told artist George Condo that he wanted to have an album cover that would get banned. Mission accomplished indeed. Sky Ferreira, I don't know, I'm going to mess up that last name. Sky, Nighttime, My Time. I'm not familiar with this album, but I have seen this album cover before. Maybe in similar lists, I'm not sure. This was from 2013. It says, for her debut album, Sky rejected her record company's advice that she pick a conventionally styled photograph of herself, opting instead for a photograph of herself in the shower looking wary and vulnerable. I mean, this album cover is kind of artistic. I'd say it's more artistic than sexual. But obviously a woman's naked is controversial, so I can see why it caused issues, but to me it's a pretty cool album cover. Alright, 33ers, what did you think of this list? Banned in the USA from Rolling Stone. Some obvious problems, I think, but also some pretty wild artwork. I'd love to hear from you. Thank you for watching. Till next time, keep on spinning.